Caitlin Clark walked over to Stephanie White with 52 seconds left in the first half and asked her, calmly, directly, to challenge a call. White did nothing. Footage of that exact moment is now circulating everywhere, and once you understand the context around it, it is impossible not to be furious on Clark's behalf. The Indiana Fever had just snapped a 4-game winning streak with a loss to the Atlanta Dream, and Clark spent most of the fourth quarter sitting on the bench in foul trouble. She did not return to the game until 3 minutes and 28 seconds were left, and the moment that made everything click into place happened in the first half, when Clark stood right next to her own head coach, pointed at a missed call, and watched White choose to do absolutely nothing about it. Let's walk through exactly what happened on that play. Jordan Canada tripped on her own, slipped, and hit the floor. Clark, who was already sitting on 4 fouls at that point in the game, was visibly backing away, giving Canada room, not initiating any contact at all. And somehow a whistle still went against Clark on that exact sequence. The broadcast announcers themselves called out the no challenge in real time. This was not a borderline, debatable foul where reasonable people could disagree. Even the people calling the game live were stunned that White let it go unchallenged. And the footage that has now surfaced shows Clark walking directly over to White afterward, asking her plainly to review the play. No yelling, no dramatic confrontation, just a simple, direct request from a player who knew exactly what had just happened to her foul count. White ignored it. Here is what makes this so much worse. Stephanie White did use a challenge that night, just not for Clark. She burned her one available challenge on a play involving Sophie Cunningham instead, and by the time Clark needed one in that critical late first half sequence, the challenge was already gone. So this was not a coach who refused to use replay review at all. This was a coach who made an active choice about which player's whistle was worth fighting for. And Clark was not it. With Clark sitting on 4 fouls and that exact non-call pushing her closer to fouling out, the decision to spend the team's only challenge somewhere else meant Clark walked into the second half one bad whistle away from disaster. And that is exactly what happened. She picked up her 5th foul and missed almost the entire fourth quarter of a game Indiana ultimately lost. This is not an isolated incident either. Sports Illustrated's Robin Lundberg published a piece making this exact argument with specifics that go beyond just this one game. He wrote that coaching the Indiana Fever comes with challenges, and that Stephanie White holds onto her challenges specifically when it comes to calls made against Clark. According to his reporting, White has not used a single challenge on a foul called against her own star point guard this entire season. Not once. Lundberg pointed directly to this Atlanta Dream loss as the clearest example yet, specifically citing that missed challenge with 52 seconds left in the first half as the moment that stood out most. This is not a drama channel making something out of nothing. This is a credible, mainstream sports journalist looking at the pattern across an entire season and reaching the same conclusion that the footage of Clark walking over to ask for a review all but confirms on its own. Now think about what this actually cost the team. Clark sitting for most of the fourth quarter against a team like Atlanta is not a small thing. This is a team that finished the game with 60 points in the paint, and the breakdown behind that number is exactly what you would expect from a defense missing its best two-way player for most of the final period.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we let him get to the rim too easily. That was pretty much the story of when we had our defensive failings. It was our one-on-one D. We tried to wait until they caught the ball to defend. We didn't make it difficult for them to pass the ball around the perimeter, and they're fast. When they catch it on the run and attack our feet, we're already behind. And there were some times where we didn't have rotations. I thought they did an excellent job in terms of their spacing to make our rotations very difficult. But we've got to be able to guard one-on-one, and more than anything, we got to defend without fouling. I mean, we cannot continue to let people live, in the 20s and 30s in terms of free throw attempts. We've just got to be better.
We've got to defend without fouling. That is White, after the game, talking about foul discipline as a team-wide problem. But notice the irony sitting right underneath that statement. The night's most consequential foul discipline failure happened to her own best player in a moment. White had the power to fix with a simple challenge and chose not to use it. You cannot talk about defending without fouling in the abstract while ignoring the one specific instance where a foul against your franchise player went completely unreviewed with the team's only challenge sitting right there unused until it went to Cunningham instead. White's own post-game comments focused entirely on team defense, transition points, and foul trouble across the roster broadly. She talked about needing to defend without fouling, about not making it difficult enough for Atlanta before they got to the paint, about letting too many different Atlanta players beat them in too many different ways. All of that is fair coaching analysis. But notice what is missing from it. Any direct acknowledgement of the challenge decision. Any explanation for why Cunningham's play got reviewed and Clark's potential fifth foul did not. The press conference moved straight into broad strokes about team defense, conveniently skipping past the one specific in-game decision that put her franchise player on the bench for the stretch of the game that mattered most. And here's what makes the missed challenge even harder to defend in hindsight. Because once Clark finally got back on the floor with 3 minutes and 28 seconds left, the team immediately responded.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Teams are going to go on runs. We're going to have situations where we need everybody to step up, and we did. I thought that group really dug in on the defensive end of the floor, got stops. We rebounded it well, and we moved it on offense. We made it a little bit more difficult because the ball got side to side. We got some higher quality looks and knocked them down.
That group really dug in. That rally happened with Clark back on the floor in the final 3.5 minutes against a deficit that had ballooned to double digits while she was stuck on the bench. Imagine how much earlier that rally could have started, how much smaller that hole would have been to climb out of if Clark had those extra minutes from the start of the fourth quarter instead of spending most of it watching from the sideline because of a foul that should have been overturned. And this is not the first time this exact pattern has shown up. Fans have been dissecting the relationship between Clark and White for weeks now, going all the way back to earlier incidents involving how the team handled Clark's injury reporting, moments where White discussed wanting Clark to play more off the ball, and a growing sense among the fan base that recognition and support are not flowing toward Clark the way they should be for a player carrying this franchise. This challenge decision against Atlanta is not happening in a vacuum. It is the latest data point in a pattern that has been building since the start of the season. And it is exactly the kind of moment that turns simmering frustration into something undeniable, because this time there is actual footage of Clark asking directly and being ignored. Think about the optics of this from Clark's perspective. She has been the centerpiece of unprecedented attention for this franchise. She just made history again this season with records nobody else in the league is close to touching. And in a game against one of her biggest rivals, with the team's winning streak on the line, she walks over to her own coach in real time, asks for help, and gets nothing. No urgency, no willingness to fight for the call. Just a coach who had already decided her one challenge belonged somewhere else. Whatever the explanation is internally, the optics from the outside are brutal, and Clark's own body language in that moment, captured on camera for everyone to see, tells you exactly how she felt about it. The Fever have a rematch with Atlanta coming up, and the pressure on Stephanie White to actually explain this pattern is only going to grow. Robin Lundberg already put it in print. The footage is already circulating. The numbers already show a coach who has not challenged a single foul call against her best player all season, even as that same coach somehow found a challenge to spend elsewhere in the exact game where it mattered most. Caitlin Clark asked for help in that moment. She did not get it. And the version of this team that has her on the floor for the entire fourth quarter, instead of scrambling to dig out of a double-digit hole without her, might be looking at a very different final score against Atlanta. What do you think? Should Stephanie White have challenged that call for Caitlin Clark? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because we will have full coverage of the rematch against Atlanta. We will see you in the next one.